All right, time to move on to this week in trading history. And so, what we're looking at is back in on November 21st, 20th and 21st of 1985 was when Windows 1.0 was released by Microsoft. 1.0.
Wow.
All
I
right.
actually remember that, to be truthful. I don't remember the release, but I remember Windows 1.0.
That was when we didn't even know what a megabyte was. When 256 kilobytes was about the average size of your memory card and everything, right?
Yeah, that's
Like
right.
that's crazy. All right. Anyway, we cut a little video of the 1.0. It's just a little flashback for many millennials won't even know what this was. But let's have a look at it.
In 1985, Microsoft released Windows 1, an operating environment that ran on top of MS-DOS. Windows today is an operating system in and of itself, but back in this time, Windows was just a graphical shell that ran on top of MS-DOS. The system consisted of MS-DOS Executive, which let users browse files. It contained a graphical system that was controllable by a mouse and keyboard, and the system was capable of executing other programs and files. Here is an example of the calendar application that is included with Windows. The menu bar in each of these windows provided users with keyboard shortcuts and commands to use certain features of the application. A menu in the corner of each window would be used for window management between different applications. Windows also came with a notepad and an application named Write, which was used for word processing. A feature Steve Ballmer was obviously excited about was the ability to play Reversi. To make settings easy to change for users, Windows came bundled with a control panel. You could also customize all of the colors for the interface. So there you have it, a quick tour of the first version of Windows, which helped make personal computers accessible by everyone, except in Nebraska.
Wow, eh?
It's pretty awesome.
I loved it in the calendar. That calendar feature was pretty epic, eh? And then was it Ballmer's little favorite video game there?
Yeah. You know what I like best about it is people won't, most of the millennials won't realize why we have a C drive. Like, why not an A or B drive? And those were for floppy disks. And if you look at that video, he or she was running Windows off of the floppy disk because it was the A drive. Yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty funny.
That's amazing that you noticed that, right?
Well, once a geek, always a geek.
There you go. What was interesting was around the same time as this release, it was like, I think it was November 22nd, 1985, some history there. There was a Microsoft and Apple signing a licensing agreement, right? So there was big concerns that Apple and between Apple and Microsoft about Microsoft stealing Macintosh's ideas to use in that Windows interface. They made movies on this stuff, right? And so at the time, they entered an agreement. So it was on this day, 1985, when the two companies signed a secret licensing agreement, which gave Microsoft royalty-free rights to elements of the graphic display technology developed by Macintosh. And the agreement was signed by Bill Gates and, at the time, the Apple chairman, John Sculley, because guess what? That was just after Jobs was let go, right?
Right. Well, and not only did did Microsoft steal the graphical interface from Apple, they also stole DOS from another company. Microsoft is actually was just great at taking other people's ideas and running with them because they weren't the first kind of designers of DOS. They had taken it from someone else and had made it. And then not only that, in terms of Windows, they did the exact same thing from Apple.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And so, in the end, it's funny that it just in that same spirit of what you're saying there, it was by 1988 that Apple would be filing a lawsuit against Microsoft for copyright infringement. Like, it didn't take long for this whole thing to just unravel. But anyway, it was this week in history. Windows 1.0 was released. There we have it.
Awesome.